Now that we have our layers for rendering the specific passes or the specific components of our compositing sequence, we want to prepare and set up our rendering. For this, I'm going to call my render setting window. And of course, we're going to be using the ambient occlusion, the Arnold renderer. And I'm just gonna go back up to my master layer just to have it just in a regular layer, not having specific layers connected to it, at least at first. And and I need to set up my common attributes here. And the very first one, I'm gonna put just a name for this render. And I'm additionally to that, I'm going to right click. I'm gonna select the render layer name, so that way the word monster and then the render layer will be color, shadow, ambient occlusion, and so on and so forth will appear in the name file. Then the image options, you want to go with something that gives you the possibility of working with alpha channels, since we've seen transparency in most of these layers and we do need transparency. So that rules out completely JPEG from the start. PNG is an option, although I tried it before and I couldn't get the transparency that I needed with it. Usually PNG works, but I don't know exactly what it is that is not doing it for me. So I'm going to try with TIFF. I'm going to do it with a TIFF format, but importantly here is you can use the LZW compression, that's totally fine. But we want to make sure it is not INT 8, integer 8, but it's integer 16, which gives you a 16-bit depth on your file. Makes it a bit larger, but allows you to have RGB plus alpha, which alpha is what gives you the transparency that we need. The other formatting was fine just to soften the appearance of it. Then I'm going to use the color space. I can use the output transform. That way I can have the images as as they will come out originally without any treatment of color correction. And I'm going to change here from the single frame. I'm actually going to use it as if I was rendering a sequence, although you could try a single frame, but maybe that was the reason my PNG when I tried it before didn't work. So I'm gonna go actually render out a name, number, and extension. And from this, I'm gonna keep it rendering from frame one to frame one, meaning just gonna render it one single frame, and make sure that I have my monster camera. Sometimes you can see other cameras appearing here, so you just click on the trash can to get rid of them, and that'll be enough. And HD 1080 is the format I'm going to be using, which is fine. And with that, I'm going to go to my Arnold render settings to set up my sampling. Okay, so here comes, of course, part of it is the testing. I'm going to just call my Arnold render window one more time. Let me just close this here for now. And let's see, we'll try to organize the space a little bit better here. Let me try to close this window over there for a little bit so that I can see my layers. All right, so we're gonna start testing color. So, in our settings that Arnold we already know, camera, diffuse and specular, transmission, surface scattering, and volume direct. I know the volume direct is for fluid cases or for liquids and all that. I'm not rendering that, so no worry about that. Subsurface scattering, I don't have subsurface scattering. If I had, I probably would have played with the shader there. So I'm gonna turn those off too. Transmission, my creature does not have any transmission, meaning any transparency. If yours does, you might have to turn it on. In my case, I'm turning it off. That means that all of them are giving me a lot of opportunity. And I'm gonna go and say, all right, I'm gonna just maintain those. This guy at 3, 3, and specular. I'm gonna keep it at 2. And I'm going to start testing my color layer for now. So I'm gonna just go and render that frame. Okay, so here I got the color layer. Let me click on one that way I can see the actual scale, and I can look around it. It doesn't look too bad. It's hard to tell, but it seems to be okay. So I'm gonna keep that one with that, and I'm going to go to my shadow, and let me try testing that one out. Actually not there. I'll try with the other one. Shadow. I'm gonna just try. I'm gonna just actually go and grab a segment of it. Might take a little bit longer. So I'm just gonna go and grab a segment of it with my segment section here. So here I just did it, and of course I'm not able to see it there. I need to go to my alpha, and here this gives me a better sense of what the resolution is, and I can see graininess going on there. That means I need to crank up some of my values there. So it is important to test and evaluate the quality of it. But in this case, we can also manipulate the overrides for per layers. So what I mean is that I can go back to my color layer. I knew that I like that one the way it was, so I'm gonna just create on the layer, create an absolute override for the visible layer. Same for this one, and same for that one. The other ones I don't need to change, so not to worry. I'm gonna go to my shadow now, and I know I need to crank up those values, so I'm gonna put my camera to say maybe at 4, and my diffuse I'm gonna bring it up to 4 also, and specular I don't need to worry about. See, I think that I got my character disappear because I changed the values too fast. I'm gonna close the window. When that happens, just because the displacement gets all confused, so it gets a little bit annoying there. So we have to go and bring it back up. I'm hoping that it will this time show it. Alright, there it is. It's starting to show up. I can see some of my shadow. I still see graining on this layer, so I can crank it up a bit more. I'm gonna just say maybe 5, and then 5 on this one as well. We know that you need to change the values too quickly, they tend to go away. So this one, it's a little bit better, not perfect, but a little bit better. I still see noise there. So the other thing I can do is I'm gonna look under my filter here, and I have a Gaussian of 2 in the filter. Not totally sure if I want to crank it up because that will blur everything up a little too much. Let me try to see how that looks if I just crank it up to 3. That didn't make a big difference. I'm gonna keep it at 2 anyways. I don't think it even changed. So I'm going to just go back up one more here. It's gonna slow it down a bit more and see if I can maybe lower that one. Improved a little bit. I'm gonna lower the specular to 0. Maybe that helps me with the rendering times there. And I'm gonna go 6 with this one too. It's not taking too long to render, but it's a little bit better. I think I can live with that. It's a little bit of graininess going on here, but I think I can control that in After Effects. So I'm going to create, now that I have that, I'm going to create a absolute override for this visible layer, absolute override for this visible layer, and let me just stop that one there for now. And then I go to my ambient occlusion. I know my ambient occlusion doesn't need that much. I'm gonna go back down to 3 and 3, and I'm gonna test it out, of course. So they give me a completely white there. I'm gonna just go back to my, not to my alpha, but I'm gonna look at my RGB. There it is. Alright, so there you can see my ambient occlusion doing what it needs to be doing, and resolution is pretty good. So I'm gonna just keep it there at 3 and 3. I'm gonna just absolute override and absolute override right there. And I probably should just create an absolute override for this one too, because that one is gonna have to change in the next one over. Let's see how that works. So I'm gonna just stop this one here, and I'm gonna go back to the specular, and the specular I need to crank it up at least to 1. I'm gonna select an override there, and let me keep those other 2 there to see how they look. I'm really a specular actually takes a longer area than what the object is because it's more specular on top. I didn't like that because I moved it too fast. I'm just gonna close my window and call it one more time and hoping to re-render it one more time here and just do this section better. I'm gonna put it to render there. Alright, that's pretty decent since I don't need to be reflecting a lot of stuff. That is doing what I want. So I'm actually going to maintain and time wise it's not taking too long, so I'm just gonna keep those the values they have and then specular at 1, that's good. Alright, let me just jump to my next one. Just pause it here. My next one will be the emission. So let me try with the numbers that I have right now to see what emissions look like. There we go. I got the new nice gold, nice you know let me give it an RGB and alpha. There we go. So they are good there. A little bit of a reflection going on there. I'm fine still with that, I think. All right, so that one is good. So let me just put my override for these ones too. I could bring down the specular to 0 to see if that takes care of the little glow there. I don't think it did it, but that's fine. I can live with this. Alright, and then let me go to the next one, which is my wireframe. My wireframe doesn't need a lot, so I'm just gonna keep it as it is right now. You see that it renders very, very quickly, so I'm gonna just set those up there and then there. And good. The last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go under the AOV section under legacy. There is one thing that let's see, there is something. I'm gonna disable AOVs, and what it is another way of rendering render passes that we're gonna talk about in a few weeks, but for now I'm gonna just disable those. That way we don't get any AOVs rendering as our thing. Alright, we're good to go now. So I'm just gonna save my scene, increment and save of course. And then I'm ready to go. All my layers that are gonna be rendering have to be highlighted here. That means that my master layer won't be. I'm gonna resave my scene one more time. I'm gonna just minimize. I can actually do that, or I can simply just come in here and say under my rendering settings I can go and call my let me just got my window here. I'm gonna just call here on the render render sequence. I'm gonna open it up, enable all layers, all renderable cameras, just like that, and add to render view. That way we can see the process. Alright, let's save this one more time. I didn't want to save anything. Okay, we're going to say render sequence and close. And that should start processing for us. So it's going to take a few minutes to go through it. I'm going to keep updating you on that. Right, so I'm starting to get my first hue, my first color layer there. And it's rendering under the images folder. And then it's going now for the shadow. So I'm going to just pause my video there. The shadow took a little bit longer. Of course, this one we cranked up the sampling quite a bit. So that's why it took a little bit longer, but it should be fine. It's saving under the images folder one more time. Just want to keep an eye where they're saving to, because sometimes things get a bit funny actually at the end. Now it's moving on to the ambient occlusion. That one should be fairly fast. The shadow, by the way, we saw it all black because, of course, the shadow is visible when we apply the alpha channel, which is rendered in the background. We don't get to see it. Now we're rendering the ambient occlusion. That should go very fast. Alright, here this one is finishing up. It took longer than what I expected. I guess my sampling is a little high for it, so probably would consider for ambient occlusion go lower. Don't worry about the black background as long as we have the white area and the character with the white and the shading in it. It's all fine. We're gonna be able to use it in After Effects with no problem. Now it moves on to working on the specular. So hopefully that one is going a little bit faster. I just missed the specular, so hopefully that one worked fine. It just went past and now it's going on there. I'm sorry, the emissions right now. Okay, here I got the emissions rendered, and then wireframe came back up very fast. So I just finished my rendering process, and I should be able to find them. Let me see if I can go and find them under my folder here. So now we get to see here the images when they rendered out. I'm gonna open them up with FCheck, which is a little package that comes with Maya. I can right click on it if you don't have it activated. You can say open up with FCheck. If you don't have it, you can go and search for the program inside of, I have it already there, but if you don't have it, let's say pretend I don't have it, I'm gonna go for more apps, and then I'm gonna go and then look for another app on this PC, and then I go under the Autodesk Maya 2019 bin, and then under bin there is FCheck. So I just say open. And what the advantage of FCheck is FCheck is a program that comes with Maya and allows you to look at your color, your alpha, and Z. If you had ZDEF activated, we didn't use ZDEF in this file. So here, of course, this one comes with the output, which is kind of like dark compared to what I was seeing in Maya, but I should be able to fix it no problem. So I have that one. Here is the ambient occlusion, and I got my emissions, which is pretty dark, but it is there. There is with the alpha with the monster, that's fine. I also have the monster shadow. I should see it right there. There is my shadows. And I also have my specular right there. You can see it highlighted there. And my wireframe, which is a little heavy, but it does what it needs to be doing. Alright, so with this, I'm ready to get going to work in my compositing in After Effects.